Okay, I'm back with this junk journal that I made out of a children's storybook, and it's called I Know a Story, and it's got a couple of bears, a mama and a daddy bear on the front, and on the back is a little bear. Looks like they're playing chase or something. It has this fabric on the spine and some rickrack. I used yellow because the bears are yellow. Metal corners, 3 signatures, and this book belongs to on the front here. And as in the other one, there's vintage wrapping paper and vintage wallpaper and feed sack fabric along with other fabrics. So this is a piece of vintage wrapping paper, and there's a piece of the gorgeous lace trim. It's got lace on it, but there's embroidery here, and this I think was sent to me by Leslie. I love it. I just used a little tiny snippet, but I just think it really adds to that. And here's a piece of vintage wrapping paper. Mary had a little lamb on the alterations tag. Now these pages are coffee dyed. The custom order book didn't want coffee dye, so that one didn't, but this book does. It has fabric tabs, and the whole book is set up just the same as the custom book, except of course the pictures are different, the book pages are different. This one's Georgie Porgy and little Jack Horner. There is some spraying in here on the graph paper. This is a piece of the feed sack, vintage feed sack, and I wanted this little bird on it, but it blended right in with the print, of course, so I just took a piece of text from the children's books and kind of inked around it. There's some vintage rickrack at the top, and here's a little drawing from a vintage children's magazine. Stamping up there. Here's a little flap you can write in here. There's a block, children's block stitched there. A page from a children's reading book. And a bird card from the Bird Bingo game. Vintage ledger, a pocket that I need to stitch glue closed, and here's an image from the children's magazine. Some corner stamping here. A tag made with Graphic 45 paper from the Mother Goose. And this little piece is from ABC Primer from Graphic 45, and I put a couple of tags inside. I've got to put something on there that I think I missed that tag. I think I got all the rest, but I'll put some seam binding or something in there. Here's a piece of vintage wallpaper. Little Boy Blue, Tom Tom the Piper's Son, and here's another piece of vintage wallpaper. This is one I actually found at the flea market last weekend, and, well, yeah, 2 weekends ago, I guess. Anyway, the rest of the pieces of vintage wallpaper came from Colleen Bean on Etsy. I'll link her shop. This is just a piece of embroidered vintage table runner that I had left over. So it's got the hemmed edge here and some embroidery up here. Little piece of ruffled fabric. Here's the sheet with the gathered part. Vintage sheet. And this is from a vintage children's songbook. Did we see the feed sack? Yeah, we must have. Yeah, that's right. There it is. Okay, second signature has Little Bo Peep vintage wrapping paper. There's some of that pink braid trim up there that's vintage. And Humpty Dumpty wrapping paper. Of course, all these nursery rhyme wrapping papers were on this, or images were on the same sheet of wrapping paper. I've been hoarding those vintage wrapping papers since I bought them last summer at the flea market, but What am I hoarding them for if not for a book made with children's books, right? Time to use them. Tales of the Vienna Woods, Johann Strauss and Amaryllis. Some sprayed graph paper, very crinkly. There's another piece of feed sack. This one is a lighter weight and a little flimsier, so I stitched this bias tape. I put it right over the edge so the bias tape is on the back and on the front. Stitched it down, put this little piece of this image from a children's book. I like the way this all looks, all these colors together. And then put this alterations tag in there. There's a vintage playing card, a little tag. I'm not sure, but this might be Christy Art Designs. Another envelope that I have to glue shut, and a little page from the wrapping paper. That's probably Seesaw Marjorie Daw. There's another tag I have to add something to. Vintage wallpaper. Vintage wallpaper. Some of the ruffled tulle. And a little illustration here from a children's book. And here's the third signature. This is Polly Put the Kettle On. And the dish ran away with a spoon. This just has this pretty blue rosette trim at the top. And there's a tab, fabric tab, Little Red Riding Hood, vintage ledger paper, Toreador. I like this. This is an illustration that was in the 1961 Spiegel catalog. And I just thought the color of her outfit and her hair went great with this. So I just tucked that right in there. And this is vintage feed sack with some vintage rickrack and an illustration from a children's book. Pocket flip with a children's block stitched on there. A little Hummel card. She looks like Hummel to me. She's playing cards. Just a little girl, and a page from a children's spelling vocabulary book. Another envelope, and this has Little Red Riding Hood. Lots of space for writing. This is from a children's school book. There's the teacher and the child talking about the birds. Vintage wallpaper. And again, there's some ruffled eyelet up here, pleated eyelet. And some ledger paper and an illustration from a children's book. I didn't cover this one up because I liked the way it looked, and they hadn't. Usually, if books are discarded from the library, they have a big line with marker drawn through them, and this one didn't. And it's Little Bear's Pancake Party, so I thought it was appropriate to have a children's book pocket on this children's book. So I left that the way it is and just put this little Graphic 45 square on there. So this one, I Know a Story, will be listed in my shop, and I will leave a link below. And I will also leave a link for Fabric Thread Needle. And don't forget Diane's special coupon code if you want 15% off your $25 purchase. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.